All right, here's a big tough one. All right, this is tough. If you were to define your gay experience, how would you go about doing it?
My gay experience.
Well, see, it's questions like that that fuck people up. Because what's the difference between a gay... I was about to say, what's the difference between a gay experience and a regular life experience? But there actually happens to be a huge difference, especially in America. And actually, especially all around the world. So I guess that isn't such a bad question. But at the same time, how do you limit your life experience to something that is atypically gay? So let's cool it on that subject. If we're talking to the world, so if you were gonna bring up something, what would you bring up? What would you want to talk about?
Let's see, if I were to bring up something, well, one of the main things would be that sexual orientation has been put into these very rigid categories, and because I'm very big on science and research, and this is something that I think that science can definitely explore. I think I've looked into a lot of it. I've looked into the science of sexual orientation because it's something that's fascinated me. And all of the research that I have seen since the 40s, and especially now, and very recently, actually, if you Google Dr. Robert Epstein, you'll find lots more information on this subject.
Hey! Educate yourself!
There's a huge amount of information pointing to the idea that sexual orientation is something that's a spectrum. It's something that you have attraction to one gender or another, or both, to varying degrees. So when we say gay, straight, and bi, I'm not really opposed to those terms.
Right.
I'm okay with us using those labels as long as we treat them as general labels. As we get so... I mean, that's another thing about the whole label debate in general.
Yeah, I did a video called Fuck Labels, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't get me started on labels.
My thing about labels is when people say fuck labels like that, you're not actually saying fuck labels. Because we're okay with a lot of informal labels. We're okay with labels that don't really matter that
I haven't seen
much.
the video in a while. I forget what I said.
What we really don't like when we say fuck labels is don't look at this label and think that it's everything about me. Don't think that it's anything other than the most general summary of some aspect of my life.
Okay, right.
Because I'm comfortable using gay, for example. Because it mostly describes how I identify. First of all, there are nuances to that people might not understand. Like, well, do you like manly men? Do you like feminine men? Do you like both? Do you like androgynous men? Do you like... what sort of physical features are you attracted to? There's more to your sexual orientation than just like
dudes,
a pole on the spectrum.
Right.
I remember you telling me a couple of times that you're definitely attracted to girls, and you're relatively you're attracted to in a very broad sense, and you're more picky with guys. And that's...
If you're older, don't try. Do not.
And that's something a lot more specific than, just the word bi.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things where it's sort of like the title to a newspaper article. It doesn't give you all the information.
Right.
It might not even be what you expect it to be. Like, if someone says to you bi, you think like, oh, equally attracted. Bi means, two. So you have these two equal attractions, as opposed to, oh, I'm kind of a little bit of this and a lot of this, or, anything in between.
Yeah, because when people always ask me to what degree I am bisexual, and I genuinely say 50-50. But really what I mean is that I won't say no to a date generally if, you're not a creep. And that's generally what I mean. But as far as attraction goes, it's much more narrow for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the science is showing that like there's a lot of degrees of gray in there, and that even treating that as a linear spectrum may be a little weird because we don't fully understand how people. We don't fully understand sexual attraction to begin with.
Right.
So to even put that on a spectrum and say, oh, this is. Will give you a number.
Right.
Even that is.
I mean, that's a little weird. Yeah.
So, I mean, the way that I choose to deal with this personally, in interacting with other people, is I never ask the question, are you straight? Are you gay? Are you bi? Like, pick a label. Do it now.
Yeah.
I leave it open-ended and say, how would you describe your sexual orientation? Because then if they're comfortable self-labeling, saying, well, I'm pretty comfortable with the label gay, I'm pretty comfortable with the label straight, they can do that. But if it's more...
Are you gay or are you straight? Yeah. I hate that.
But I'm inviting them to elaborate on that in whatever way they want to. It's kind of like saying, if you're asking someone's job, it's kind of like saying, oh, so do you work in this or that? As opposed to, oh, so what do you do? Describe your job.
Yeah.
As opposed to, so do you work down at the mill or at the paper factory? Oh, the factory. Oh, yeah, one of those. Catch you later. I'll buy you a beer.
All right. If you were to do it in 3 minutes, or less, preferably less, because this is going to be 30 minutes of information. What do you think... Alright, I don't like to use it, but what do you think of people uniting under the word faggot? What do you think of that?
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
It
really makes me uncomfortable.
2 reasons I don't like it. One reason is that faggot is a very charged word. I don't like it. I don't even like to say it.
I don't like it either. I don't even like to say fag hag.
I realize that that's an uneven thing, that different people have different levels of sensitivity to that word. And, what makes a word bad is all about context.
Right.
So I'm not going to judge people for using it unless they're using it in a bad context. But I prefer not to use it. The other reason is that it's uniting people who are not straight. And that is kind of dumb to me because it's like, again, it's the whole spectrum. I think if you were to unite around an issue, it would be much stronger. The issue that I think is...
Or even uniting under the word queer.
Yeah, even that is just like, because it's just... It's leaving out this whole portion. It's saying like, oh, weird, it's always some minority group that you're making this into, this imaginary sort of conglomeration of minority groups. I think that the issue that really does unite those groups, that ties in with really everyone, straight or not, is discrimination based on harmless, natural sexual tendencies.
Right.
That affects, all kinds of people. If you go, to, if you take that to, to a lot of, say, Islamic fundamentalist nations, women, straight women are definitely in that category.
Right.
Straight men are in that category in certain places. A lot of people suffer unjustly for things that are really entirely natural.
Right.
And I think that that's something that with a little understanding, people, straight or not, can get behind together.
Cool. All right. Well, it's been a half an hour with my brother. It was great seeing you.
All right.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.